I'm doing what I enjoy doing. It's like other men like to play golf, so they play golf every chance they can. So you don't say to them, how come you're playing golf today? You played last week. It was the same with me. To me, it is such fun creating characters, writing stories, even doing interviews, even though I can't hear most of what the guy says to me. But it's an exciting life, and when you do something that you know the fans seem to enjoy, that gives you such satisfaction, you don't want to stop. There was one time, and I don't even remember, it might have been the Fantastic Four or some other book. We had a story that I thought wasn't that good, but we were stuck with it. We had to send it out. There was the due date. I didn't have time to do it over. And on the cover, I wrote a little note. I don't remember the exact words, but something like, hey, kids, I've got to admit, this isn't the best story we've ever done. But we've given you so many good ones before, we think you owe it to us to buy this one also. Everybody thought I was crazy. That book sold better than most of the others in that period. And I got a ton of mail saying, you guys are great. Nobody else would have written anything like that. I got this great idea. I want to call him Spider-Man, and he's a teenager. So I gave him the idea, and he said, Stan, that is the worst idea I have ever heard. He said, first of all, people hate spiders. You can't call a hero Spider-Man. Secondly, he said, he can't be a teenager. Teenagers are only sidekicks. And finally, he can't have personal problems. Don't you know what a superhero is? So he wouldn't let me do it. One day we had a book we were going to kill called Amazing Fantasy. When you're going to do the last issue, nobody cares what you put in it. Just to get it out of my system, I put Spider-Man in the book, and we sold it. And it was a bestseller. So my publisher called me in a couple weeks later and said, Stan, you remember that character, Spider-Man, that you and I liked so much? Why don't you do a series of it? And that's how Spidey was born.
Do you have a specific target audience?
Oh, just anybody who can read, anybody who's literate. It used to be, again, that comics were just for little kids. Or they were thought to be for little kids.
But that's changed.
Yeah, with Marvel, because we started directing Marvel at ourselves, really. The theory was we're going to write the kind of stories we would enjoy reading, you see. And I didn't know if it would work or not, but it worked better than anybody expected, because we grabbed a lot of readers who were much older, who liked the kind of things that we liked. But we didn't lose the young kids. So we find the best formula, if you call it that, is we don't try to write for any audience. We try to write stories we would enjoy. And apparently there are enough people in the world who have the same tastes. I hate to say that. I'd like to think my taste was far better, but apparently everybody must have pretty much the same taste, because the books sell pretty well.
If you do a good movie, a good television series, anything good, you'll get the audience. There's never a chance to worry. People want entertainment. People want adventure stories. They just want them to be good. I'd like to think of myself as an entertainer. I feel if I can entertain people in any way, it's very gratifying, because it's a funny thing. Years ago, I used to feel somewhat embarrassed that I was writing comics. I felt there are men building bridges and working in laboratories on cures for illness and doing real things, and I'm writing these comic books. But over the years, I've learned how much joy these comic books have brought to people. And I began to realize that entertainment is very important in people's lives. Most people, almost everybody, have lives that have problems and troubles and things to worry about. And if you can entertain somebody, take his or her mind off the things that would normally be bothering them, that's a good thing to do.